Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaivam Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Shanvata Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidonoti Sahetsatam Ashtaparayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31, Text 10. Kim janmabhistirbhirveha shokra savitra yagike karma bhirva trayi prokte omsopi vibudhayusha. Synonyms. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Kim, what is the use? Janmabhi, of births. Tribhi, three. Va, or. Iha, in this world. Shokra, by semen. Savitra, by initiation. Yagnikai, by becoming a perfect Brahman. Karmabhi, by activities. Va, or. Trayi, in the Vedas. Prokte, instructed. Pumsa, of a human being. Api, even. Vibhuda, of the demigods. Ayusha, with the duration of life. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. A civilized human being has three kinds of birth. The first birth is by a pure father and mother. This birth is called birth by semen. The next birth takes place when one is initiated by the spiritual masters, and this birth is called Savitra. The third birth, called Yagnika, takes place when one is given the opportunity to worship Lord Vishnu. Despite the opportunities for attaining such births, even if one gets the lifespan of demigod, if one does not actually engage in the service of the Lord, everything is useless. Similarly, one's activities may be mundane or spiritual, but they are useless if they are not meant for satisfying the Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word Shokra Janma means taking birth by seminal discharge. Animals can take their birth in this way too. However, a human being can be reformed from the Shokra Janma. As recommended in the Vedic civilization, before the birth takes place or before father and mother unite, there is a ceremony called Garbhadhan Sanskar, which must be adopted. This Garbhadhan Sanskar is especially recommended for higher castes, especially the Brahman caste. It is said in the Shastras that if the Garbhadhan Sanskar is not practiced among the higher castes, the entire family becomes Shudra. It is also stated that in this age of Kali, everyone is Shudra. Due to the absence of Garbhadhan Sanskar, this is the Vedic system. According to the Pancharatrika system, however, even though everyone is a Shudra, due to the absence of the Garbhadhan Samskar, if a person has but a little tendency to become Shri Krishna conscious, he should be given a chance to elevate himself with the transcendental platform of a devotional service. Our Krishna consciousness movement adopts this Pancha Ratrika Vidhi as advised by Srila Sanatana Goswami, who says that यथा कंचदातं यति कांक्षं रस विधानतः तथा दीक्षा विधानेन द्विजत्वं जयते नृणम्. As bell metal, but mixed with mercury, is transformed to gold, a person, even though not golden pure, can be transformed into a Brahman or Dvij simply by the initiation process. Hari Bhakti Vilas 2.5. Thus, if one is initiated by a proper person, he can he can be accepted as a twice born immediately. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we therefore offer the student his first initiation and allow him to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra regularly and following the regulative principles, one becomes qualified to be initiated as a Brahman. Because unless one is a qualified Brahman, he cannot be allowed to worship Lord Vishnu. This is called Yagnika Janma. In our Krishna consciousness society, unless one is twice initiated, first by chanting Hare Krishna and second by the Gayatri Mantra, he is not allowed to enter the kitchen or deity room to execute duties. However, when one is elevated to the platform on which he can worship the deity, his previous birth does not matter. चंडालोपि द्विजश्रेष्ठो हरिभक्ति परायणः हरिभक्ति विहंसा च द्विजोपि स्वपछंदमा. Even if one is born in a family of Chandal, if one engages in a devotional service of the Lord, he becomes the best of Brahmanas. But even a Brahman who is devoid of devotional service is on the level of the lowest dog eater. If a person is advanced in devotional service, it does not matter whether he was born in a Chandal family. He becomes purified. As Srila Prahlad Maharaj said, Viprad Vishad Guna Yutat Arvinda Nabha Padarvinda Vimukhaj Chwapachanna Chwapacham Varisthan. Bhashimad Bhagavatam 7.9.10. Even if one is Brahman and is qualified with all Brahmanical qualifications, he is considered degraded if he is averse to worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if a person is attached to the service of the Lord, he becomes glorified even if he is born in a Chandal family. Indeed, such a Chandal can deliver not only himself, but all his family predecessors. Without devotional service, even a proud Brahman cannot deliver himself. Then what to speak of his family? In many instances in the Shastras, it is seen that even a Brahman has become a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Mlecha, or non-Brahman. And there are many instances of ones being born as Kshatriya or Vaishya or even lower and in the 18th year attaining elevation to Brahmanical platform by the process of initiation. And therefore, Narad Muni says, Yashyayal laksh, Lakshanam Roktam Vamso Var Nabhivyatam Ragyakam Yad Antyatrapi Drasheta Ta Teneva Vinirdishet. Bhagavatam 7.11.35. It is not a fact that because one is born in Brahman family, he is automatically a Brahman. He has a better chance to become Brahman. But useless, but unless he meets all the Brahmanical qualifications, he cannot be accepted as such. On the other hand, if a Brahmanical qualifications are found in a person of Shudra, he should immediately be accepted as a Brahman. To substantiate this, there are many quotations from Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Bharat, Bharadwaj Samhita, and Pancharatra, as well as many other scriptures. As far as the duration of life of demigods, concerning the Lord Brahma, it is said, Shastra Yuga Parayantam Aharyad Brahmano Vidu Ratrim Yuga Sahasranamam Teho Ratro Vidojana. Bhagavad Gita 8.17. The duration of one day of Brahma is 1000 times greater than the 4 yugas, aggregating 4,320,000 years. And Brahma's night is of the same duration. Brahma lives for 100 years of such days and nights. The word Vibhudha, uh, Vibhudha use indicates that even if one gets a long lifespan, his lifespan is useless if he is not a devotee, a living entity is the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. And unless he comes to the platform of devotional service, his lifespan, good birth, glorious activities, and everything as else are null and void. नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Saman Vaishnavas, for giving me this opportunity to speak for my own purification. We'll summarize today's verses from uh, purport by Srila Prabhupada or and lectures by the other senior devotees. Please forgive me if I add my own meaning or interpretations to this. So in this chapter, Prachetas as meeting Narad Muni after they uh, 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 complete their uh, duties, and now they again meeting Narad Muni here, and Narad Muni is providing them the instructions on the giving the spiritual, imparting the spiritual knowledge. And then in this particular verse, he has packed so many different things. And our Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada has uh, given us so many uh, impactful message about that gives us people like us some hope. So it starts with uh, many animals, including humans. They take birth by mother and father's union. However, the differentiation becomes between animals um, and humans uh, when the humans take a next step in their life in a spiritual journey where they get initiated by a spiritual master and eventually they become a Brahman through a yagnic process. So even some of the birds, right, they are also called Dvija. Dvija means twice born. Even in a Brahman are also called twice Dvija, means they are also twice born. But there is a big difference between an animal and a Brahman, right? The Brahman is expected to follow the uh, spiritual process, instruction by spiritual master, Vedic process, so that they are qualified to impart some of the spiritual duties, like serving the deities and things like that. So there's a big difference, even though the names are used for other different types of animals. But here, the main message here is our hope is that ideally the process should start before the child is born. So where before mother and father they unite, they should go through Garbhadan Sanskar, and which means it's an elaborative process where mother and father goes to spiritual process before they unite so that the environment in mother's womb becomes suitable to invite a spiritual or pious living entity. However, in this Kali Yuga, we are all of our Shudras, and some of us even came to know about this after a long time. So, what is the hope for us? So, Srila Prabhupada gives a solution here that if if you miss that first process or your family has missed that process, that's fine. But now, do not waste your time, right? Uh, Take this opportunity, even through your ISKCON, to get initiated by a spiritual master by following the process. So, that's our hope that if you get initiated by a spiritual master, um, you can still uh, get the you can still correct the course, right, that was not started from the beginning. And so that's the hope we have that Srila Prabhupada is giving us. Now, it doesn't matter where we are born, what you were doing before you become initiated, but after initiation, if you are following the instructions of spiritual master, following the process regularly, then you can become a Brahman. So Brahman is qualification is not just by birth, but also by following the right process. If uh, somebody is born as a Brahman, but if that person is not following the process, then it doesn't qualify that person as Brahman. Versus somebody is born in Chandal or even the dog eater family or low family, but if that person is following the process of brahmanas, then he's considered qualified as a qualified brahman. So that's a difference. Second piece is second information is there is Prabhupada knowledge is given is about uh, the lifespan. So if somebody may have a big lifespan to like a demigods or even Lord Brahma, but if that person is not doing a self-realization, if is not following the walking the path of spirituality, serving the Supreme Lord, then doesn't matter how long that person lives, but his lifespan is wasted because then he have to come back again in the life cycle of the birth and death. And there's a very famous example that I heard during the yajna ceremony of Rajasuya Yajna, Yudhishthira Maharaj was performing, and Krishna and Arjuna were talking, and then there was a bug. He was he had legs broken, one or two legs broken, and he was walking. Arjuna asked Krishna, this bug looks like can you give his your mercy and fix his legs and liberate him? And Krishna says that do you know Arjuna, this bug has been Indra 3 times in his previous life. So, but he never followed the path of spirituality and he has gone through multiple births. Finally, because of his past karmas, he became the bug like this. So, this is a story like even the person or that become like 3 times Indra, he can also be in this position of being like a bug in the next life. So, to speak of us, right? So, the most important thing is that doesn't matter which position you are in or how much lifespan you have, but if you can become Krishna conscious even for a portion of your life, then Krishna promises that he will make sure that we will get the will get liberated. So the learned Brahmana is considered the best among the division of Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. But a devotee is born in a low Chandal family is better than the Brahmanas. So devotee is better than anyone because he is in a transcendental position on the Brahman platform. Like in ISKCON, like European and American devotee in Krishna conscious movements are sometimes they are accepted as a Brahmanas. But so-called caste Brahmanas are very much envious of them because they said like some of these folks are born in a Western families, they cannot be accepted as Brahmana. However, we have seen that those devotees follow this process much rigorous than some of the so-called caste brahmanas, right? So, in Prahlad Maharaj, in his answer, he says that one who has been born in a brahmana family but is falsely proud of his prestigious position cannot even purify himself, right? Whereas if Chandal, a low-born person who is a devotee and has fully surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord, he can purify his entire family. So we have seen so many devotee examples, right? The devotee is born in a Kasai family, or some of the devotees were born, some of the bhaktas, like were born in Muslim families. Like if you see Haridas Thakur, we have seen so many examples that. By birth they were born in a low family, but the spiritual process actually they become elevated brahmanas. So um, uh, even Srila Prabhupada says that even though we have some of the devotees are Americans and Europeans, but because of their full Krishna consciousness, they have purified their whole families. So much so that a mother of a devotee, he said, like at the time of her death, inquired about Krishna in her last breath. So therefore, it is theoretically true and has been practically also proven that the devotee can give the best service to his family, his community, his society, and his nation. But foolish accuses the devotee of following a principle of escapism. But actually, the fact is, devotee is the right person to elevate the family. So a devotee who engages everything in the service of the Lord, he is always exalted. And that's why it's very important that we understand that living entity is eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord, and unless he comes to the platform of devotional service, his lifespan, good birth, glorious activities, and everything else are null and void. We need to always remember that. This I'd like to conclude the summary.